Metal Jesus Rocks, I'm back again, and this week's going to be a fun one because Paul and I hop in the car and we cruise down to Longview, Washington to hang out with Mr. John Hancock. Now, if you've watched my channel before, you know that John is a mega video game collector. As a matter of fact, he has over 6,000 video games, but his big passion in collecting is actually for Sega. He has complete US collections for actually most of the Sega consoles. And so I gave him a call. I'm like, hey dude, I would love to come down there and have you give me a history lesson on some of the more rare and unusual and hard to find games. And he was totally willing, so we hopped in a car and went down there. Now, keep in mind though that this video is a little bit longer than normal, but that's because I wanted to show you everything. And I think if you are a Sega fan or someone thinking about collecting for Sega, this is really, really cool.
It's 120 miles to Longview. We got a full tank of gas, a 6-pack of Alaskan Amber, hair metal on the stereo. It's Seattle, and we're wearing sunglasses.
Hit it.
Okay, so we've got the pick of your Sega collection here.
Yes.
To show off. Now, one thing I want to point out is, you got Drunken Master Paul here. I had to put my beer way over here because John has declared this is a no beer zone. I don't know if you saw the previous video, but Metal Jesus almost spilled beer all over some consoles. So the beer is going nicely over.
You lie.
I never lie. Including that time. All right, John, show us the gems of your Sega collection. Now, this is stuff that isn't necessarily, the most popular. This is rare, it's hard to find, or it's just stuff you really dig, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's go.
First one, Golden Axe Warrior. Late release RPG.
Okay.
And this is kind of a weird thing. This is one of the UPC sticker Sega Master System games, and these are hard to find.
Okay, why is that?
Just wasn't high in distribution. They're not popping up, so low distribution. And it's an RPG. It's fun. Plays a little bit like Zelda, a little bit, and fun to play.
Excellent, excellent.
And it's pretty hard to get. Next one.
Yeah.
A shooter. We all like shooters, especially shooters like this. It's part of the Elise series, Power Strike, and Power Strike, it was initially a send away, and that's why it has this weird cover. But then later on, I guess you could purchase it. But anyways, it's a send away game.
Okay, what does that mean? Send away? It's like you.
I think you had to
send
get
away
it through. Yeah, to send away through Sega or some weird distribution, but kind of hard to get. Kind of hard to get boxed.
Okay, yeah, I'm digging this artwork. Yeah. It's like, prison tattoo artwork.
Yeah.
Dig that.
Master System had terrible artwork. So yeah. This is a good example. Not all sports games are cheap or hard or easy to get. And the bottom line, this is the Boxer, lost his title, then the game appeared on shelves, made it super expensive because it was very low distribution. Late release Sega Master System game.
Okay. Well, the thing about, and I haven't played a lot of these. Actually, honestly, I wasn't that big of a Sega fan. But, as we know, I do martial arts, and one thing that drives me nuts is, boxing games that just don't feel right and don't play right and aren't fun. Now, is this actually a fun game to play?
No.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
All that buildup.
No, proves my theory. Excellent. So this is the rarity value as opposed to
rare. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay, this has the best back dialogue. Strap on your bunny ears and save the world. Okay? Think of weird, cutesy anime side-scrolling shooter. It's got the most bizarre introduction I've ever seen in a video game. It's amazing. It's colorful. It's fun. So, and it's also rare, which kind of sucks because, this is a fun game and a lot of people can't afford it. It was the last game to complete my Sega CD collection.
How much does this go for? You say people can't afford it. What's
I'd say in the roundabout $200 range.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the harder ones to get.
Wow.
And in this shape, yeah. So yeah.
No, excellent. Now this one isn't a sealed one. Is there like any paperwork or any manuals that come with it, or just?
Oh yeah, it comes with the manual. Is in really good shape.
Nice.
As you can see, and it's got the foam. All my Sega CD games mostly have the foam in to protect it against falling, scratching, and yeah, you know, a game in this condition is pretty hard to get. And it's original case, it's not a replacement case.
You don't get stuff like that in original or like modern Xbox game. They give you the case, and if it breaks, and
yeah. You know, you go to maybe a major video game chain, and it's just completely, yeah, we won't name it, but it's just, you know, it looks like somebody threw it down the staircase, and yeah.
Yeah, they have staircase testers.
Those independent game stores, boy, they really take care of the customers.
They do. I really appreciate them. It's here. It's a lot of here.
It's right here. It's like you came in and you got me right there.
A little bit down here, but mostly.
Yeah.
All right, moving along here.
All right, this is kind of the famous Hancock collection piece, Sealed Snatcher. Short answer, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like the criminal in like an old film noir.
Yeah.
Sealed Snatcher going through L.A.
It's an excellent game to play. I got this at a pawn shop for a couple bucks.
Wow.
It was sealed, and it'd been in a store for years. That's the funny part. And just nobody cared. And this game's kind of hard to get on its own. Sealed is a whole other ball game. And you know, for the cellophane collectors out there, I'm not a sealed collector, but I got lucky on this one and keep it in my collection.
Wow. So you said you got this for a couple of bucks. What's it worth now?
I've been told $600 to $800.
Woo! That's a lot.
And I'd probably have to get it graded, which I'll never do because I don't really believe in it.
Cool. Let's open that sucker up and see what. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do that on camera. What do we got next?
So this next one's kind of interesting because I completed my collection years ago, and this is kind of a story of everybody's talking about how hard Radical Rex was to get, and on a recent Sega Age forum and they were talking about, oh, this is really hard to get, complete, blah, blah, blah. And I went into my collection, I didn't even know I had it sealed. I got it in a lot of games like years ago, and I looked at it like, oh, this is pretty hard to get. I guess what makes this hard is this little sticker, that this like little aftermarket sticker that they put on talking about distributed by Activision, including under license, blah, 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 blah. This little black square is always missing on them. And, you know, for sealed collectors, that's like hard to get. And it is sealed. These rarely show up, and this is just kind of one of those question mark how much it's worth. It's worth a lot. So another really hard Sega CD game to get. So
we would guess at what, $1 million, maybe $2 million?
No, but
you're supposed to say yes.
Oh yeah. In fact, I traded for a car.
Yeah, if you don't know, sure.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's really hard to get. Really shows up. It's this little cutesy platform game. Not fun to necessarily play, but to collect. Pretty hard to get in general.
Okay, so you say that not that much fun to play, but to collect. I got a question for you, John Hancock, Immortal Game Collector. You find a game sealed, beautiful, pristine condition. Yes. It's the only one you've been able to find, but it's worth a lot of money. But it's a game you really, really want to play. Do you, John Hancock, Immortal Game Collector, do you bust it open and play it? I have. Not on those. I have. That's a true gamer right there, folks. I have. Not on those, just because they're so rare. But yeah, especially Nintendo. I've opened up a game, and I just don't care. I mean, when it comes down to if I really want to play a game, I'm going to play that game. The only thing that stopped these is I knew the value of it before. And if I didn't know, I would have just opened it up. But now, because I knew about the value before I opened it up, I'm like, maybe I should. Yeah, but if it was one of these you really heard it was a great game, you really wanted to play it, and you'd open it. I would open this if it was sealed. Okay. Yeah, because that game is amazing. Worth $500, $600, you'd open it? $1,000 open it? You don't care, do you? Probably $1,000. I mean, if it was more than that, it's like, yeah, I need a new roof. You do it if you can get a roof for $1,000. Yeah. I need to talk to your contractor. No, I got a. It's a game show. It's a game show, right? That's right. Gaming show, right? Yeah. No roofing contractor. Great. All right. Well, we've gone through the sealed collection. What do you got going next? Sega CD. This one is very special to me.
I'm from Reading, working designs. And my wife's really good friend is Jackie Powers, who is the voice of Null in the first Lunar, and I do believe Ruby in the second. A character in Lunar. And she signed it just to add to kind of the extra story. I like stories. But yeah, it's an excellent RPG. Working Designs know for their translation of Japanese games, and their localization is just superb. Nice foil cover and everything. These are pretty hard to get, and not as expensive as some of the other ones, but mine's signed by somebody who's in it.
Wow.
And like I said, Working Designs is no longer around, but I always remember them. Great company.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
What do we got next?
The other tumor that was added to the Sega Genesis.
The tumor?
Yeah, I call it, also known as a 32X.
Okay.
So 32X had a very small library, and it was pretty much a short gap in between the Sega CD and the Saturn.
Okay.
So, Spider-Man Web of Fire, very hard to get. Almost you could order it, very low distribution. Everybody's missing it in their collection. It's pretty hard to get. Little side-scroller Spider-Man game, not bad to play. Okay, I mean, like I said, not like amazing, but not like Amazing Spider-Man. I'll take
care of the jokes, John. You just roll on with the data here.
All right, and so but yeah, it's pretty hard to get, low distribution, and everybody's missing.
So this is a good game if you're a Spider-Man fan, just doing stuff.
Yeah,
excellent.
Great. And Sega made several good Spider-Man games, even on Genesis, Sega CD, and even 32X.
Okay. Yep. Something like this where you say it's pretty rare. So, for example, if I just had a big wad of cash, could I just go out and buy it somewhere, like on eBay or something?
Yeah, you can find this. This is not like stadium events. This one appears, and it's I would say probably a couple $100.
Okay, so that's fairly rare. You can find it if you got cash, but if you want to look for a deal, it's hard to find.
Hard to find for a deal.
Okay. Now, which one of these, or how would you define like a super rare one, where no matter what your money is, no matter how much money you got, you still got to hunt for it? Is that the kind of deal?
Super rare to me is something that you can't go out on eBay and buy.
Okay.
You have to wait.
Yeah.
I have several things in my game collection where you have to do that. They may only appear one or two times on eBay per year. I have some stuff in my collection that hasn't showed up in years, and that's the type of stuff that's scary because it may not be popular. People may not know the value. It may just a lot of them got trashed, and so that's to me what super rare is. Stuff that doesn't. Golden Axe Warrior, this is a good example. This doesn't appear all the time. When it does, every last one that's been sold is just going up and up in value because they're just not out there.
So that's the gem that you see after years of hunting. Mm-hmm. There it is, and it's $300, and you go, don't know.
I had an extra one of these, and immediately sold it for $200. A couple weeks later, I got two offers, one for $300, one for $400.
Wow!
So that's just got an example of that's that rare.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Moving on from the 32X.
One of the last games of my Sega Genesis collection, and it's an RPG. Plays a little bit like Zelda, and Atlas distributed it, and it's really hard to find complete. You always find them box, cart, no manual. Mine's complete. It's a little beat up, but I got a good deal. Bought it at Video Game Wizards, and they knew it was for my set, and they cut me a deal.
Excellent. Now you've played this one?
Oh yeah, it's fun. Yeah, Sega. Super Nintendo is kind of known for their RPGs, but this is kind of a late release, cardboard box Sega Genesis game, and solid action RPG. Nope. Yeah. Thank you.
It's hurting you here.
I'm gonna hurt you if you put the beer on there.
So, what games next? I can't call it. I have no beer. Well, I had beer. I was drinking backstage. What do we got next?
Bible games for Sega Genesis. Everybody's favorite to play.
I am the Metal Jesus.
Well, the Metal Jesus, yes. Yeah, so actually, I'm quite interested in this because, in the the 80s, we had Christian metal, and it's good stuff. So just because something is religious or something, you don't expect.
It's not a bad idea. Again, I have nothing against their idea, and it's just that a lot of these games were just terrible hacks. They were hacks of other games, unlicensed. They didn't even pay the license. So that, in a way, kind of even gives Christianity a bad name, because it's like,
I believe that's a sin.
We're even. They didn't even go through the right proper channels to make a game distributed on the system.
See, there's this list of things. There's about 10 of them, and one of them was "Thou shalt not
steal."
That was it. Wow.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That's okay with this.
So, anyways, Wisdom Tree games on the Sega Genesis.
Okay.
Bible games on the Sega Genesis. Very hard to find the boxes. You find the games every now and then, kind of cheap. Finding the boxes are really flimsy. They're typically really crushed. I have mine in a protective case, but they're hard to get. Joshua, I think, is one of the hardest ones to get.
Okay, do you have that one?
Yep.
And it's perfect that these are on the Sega Genesis.
Mm-hmm. This is one of my favorite titles. Unfortunately, it's also rare, but it's a brawler. Brawlers is my favorite type of game to play.
Okay.
And it's Punisher, which is one of my favorite Marvel characters. And you know what's funny about Punisher? Punisher's in a couple good video games. This is one of them. And you get to play Nick Fury or Punisher, 2-player. Kind of a Final Fight, Streets of Rage style side-scroller beat 'em up. Good
Excellent.
stuff. Good stuff. Fun, and colorful graphics. Capcom made it. Pretty hard to get. Not as rare as some of the other stuff. But, for Sega, typical Sega, you can go out, 10 spot, buy a box game. Not this one. Sorry.
So what would this go for then?
I haven't bought it in a while. I would say over $30.
Okay.
And probably under 60.
Okay, so
over,
right around
over 30 and under 60.
So right around new game land.
Yeah, new game land, and way better than half the new games that are out there. So
okay, what do you got for me?
Saturn. And the Saturn, while it wasn't super successful in the United States, it produced this gem. And this was, a lot of people think that this RPG, it's a long cinematic RPG, 4 discs. This sucker is with the original envelopes.
Wow.
1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is an epic long RPG that some say is better than Final Fantasy VII.
Would you say it's better than Final Fantasy VII?
Yep.
So you're one of the some.
Yep.
Okay.
And it was just gorgeous. The story, the character development, and one of the last games to be released for the system. So this thing came out a very low distribution rate compared to now. Some say 5,000. Some of the records say that this is one of the last 5 games made for this system, and really hard to get.
Wow, very cool.
Yep.
And that, again, the RPGs, holding their value and holding up over time.
Yeah, and finding a version of this game with the original envelopes that aren't all scratched, because you'll find the game and you might find disc 1 that's just like totally scratched. But most people bought this, took good care of it. And I gotta say, I was really happy that to get a good deal on it. I paid a couple $100 at Video Game Wizards.
Wow.
And I considered that a good deal. And I was happy to buy it because it was the shape of it. I saw the shape of it. It was like, okay, I can get this now, regret later.
Yeah, one of those rare finds that when you see it, you got to jump on it.
Yeah, one of my prized Sega Saturn games. Hard to get. RPG. There was 2 other parts that didn't come to the States, only in Japan. It was a 3-part. It was part of the Shining Force strategy RPG series. Good game. Unfortunately, we didn't get the other 2 parts. So it's fun, but it's an incomplete story. So you'll play it and you'll want more, and it's like, well, if you don't know Japanese, then you're kind of screwed. So.
But it sounds so cool when they say it.
Yes. Yeah, cool artwork.
Shining Force 3.
Yep, an exclusive to this system, and it's more collectible than playing for me. I like the earlier Shining Force games on the Sega Genesis as a preference, but good stuff.
Still a cool game.
Still a cool game. Pretty hard to get.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's all you have for the, well, all you have. I mean, there's a gazillion other games here, because saying like all you have with John is always going to be a lie.
Got a little bit more. Got Sega Dreamcast, and I'll start off with Fatal Fury. Fatal Fury Mark of the Wolves Neo Geo port. It's just it's kind of an update of an old fighting series, Fatal Fury, and it's fast, fun, really excellent port. This was load distribution as well. This came out as a budget title. It wasn't full priced like Sega, and this is Sega was only around 2.5 years, on the store shelves, and this is a kind of I would say probably $20-$30 range. You'd find this new. I bought it used at a GameStop, and was happy about it. Because I know when we got it new in, we got 2 copies, and that's typically a sign that this game's going to be hard to find down the road.
So we got one more for Dreamcast.
All right, this guy. Okay, so the story behind this is Sonic Adventure was a pretty common game for Sega's launch. But what a lot of people don't know is 2 months before launch, they previewed the system and allowed people to rent it at Hollywood Video. And so people would rent the system. In fact, the Dreamcast didn't have its modem finalized, and so the system that they rented had like a little plastic shell on it. And so one of the games you could rent was Sonic Adventure Limited Edition. And so it was kind of like, it had a couple different variations of the game. I can't remember specifically, but yeah. What makes this really hard to get? Well, it was out before launch, so when that launch came, you didn't find this typically, and it was at typically rental stores, which would put a big ginormous sticker on this saying property of Hollywood Video. You would hard to find the manual. So 2 things about this. One, it's hard to find, and it's even harder to find it with this not all garbled up, and this is missing typically the instruction manual.
All right, well, man, thank you very much for showing off some of the highlights of the Sega. I haven't seen most of that stuff.
Oh, it was most appreciative. It was fun to just share it with people.
Great, and I love your perspective on what is cool and what isn't. And like I said, your collection is so vast. To show some of these gems was really, really awesome. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, man.
All right.
We'll see you next time.
Take care.